Anyway, let's move on. And let's talk about Armie Hammer, who's opening up about his first homosexual experience. So he said that he wanted to know what it was like to hook up with somebody on Grindr. So he decided to hook up with a dude at a restaurant. He said, but he couldn't get hard. He opted to abort mission on his homosexual experiment. So the 38-year-old actor, whose mother Drew insisted her son did not R word or eat anyone, was joined on his Armie Hammer Time podcast. Not Armie Hammer Time. That's what you're calling your podcast. Oh, look, if you like it, I love it. You got to do something. So his mother was on his podcast, or they said that he was on his podcast, sorry, by actress and mental health coach Danny Drews on this week's episode. Now, Drew said when she first got to LA from New York City just to get a baseline, she told everyone that she was a lesbian. The experiment didn't last too long for Drews, with Hammer opening up about his brief trysts with some of the same gender. Well, I guess the only time he didn't hook up with a man was in acting, when he was up in there pretending to hunch Timothy Chalamet and Call Me By Your Name. But I do have the clip of him talking about his little sexual rendezvous with a man one time at band camp. So let's get to that clip, and then we'll come back and we'll talk. Please hold.
I tried hooking up with a dude one time, handsome, French,
Sure,
the whole thing.
Sure, the whole thing.
I was like, okay, this could work. This could work. Let's try this. I remember I started making out with him, and I just remember being like, God, beards. This thing is fucking rough. Like, how do I get in there?
Totally.
And I remember I put my arms around him, and I was like, oh my God, and these shoulders are so wide.
Yeah.
He's so big. And it was kind of like getting hotter and heavier. But I was like, not even a twitch, going through the motions and like not feeling anything. And then he like reached. I was like, you're not going to touch my flaccid penis. And I was like, you know what? I got to stop us here. I tried hooking up with a dude one time, handsome.
Okay, so I genuinely wonder, like, what possessed him to like all of a sudden wake up one morning and decide, you know what? I feel like sucking a dick today. I feel like going on Grindr, finding me a nice, sexy old man. Well, not old, but sexy man, football player build, French, because I want a French kiss, a French man, like, and then he's got the facial. Look, us homosexuals, we know how to work around that. We don't mind a little stubble because we got a little hair on our chins as well, so we work around that. It's all natural to us. But I mean, and here's the thing: I don't feel no ways tied if a man wants to go around and experiment. Because I feel like all people should just, and this is up to you. I'm not putting a gun in your head telling you what you need to do. But I do feel like some people just need to take a situation and just once see what it's like to hook up with someone. And if it's not for you, then you move on. He also said that he was in a restaurant, his phone blows up, and it's like Grindr, and like someone else is like, I'm at the same restaurant. Do you want a blowjob in the bathroom? And you're like, hey guys, I'll be back in 5 minutes. Well, yeah, that's something we homosexuals are real good at. We can find out ways to slither on out. And I've done it many a times when I'm going to restaurants with friends. I've hooked up with people in the back. Yeah, I'm telling my business. One time I did it with somebody that he was an acquaintance. I hooked up with his boyfriend in the bathroom. They ain't know about it. Yeah, I've been doing messy stuff too. So I was in the bathroom going, he pressed himself upon me. We started doing some stuff. He initiated, he came up to me, he kissed me, and we got a little hot and heavy, and it is what it is. So it wasn't necessarily my fault. He started and I finished it. But I will say that, look, men, if you want to go out and experiment, like I said, go ahead and experiment. And then if it's not something for you, then He also said, I was like, you know what? I'm going to give this a try. Yeah, like maybe this actually works for me. Let's give it a try. I remember I met this dude somehow, and then that's when he told about the whole French thing, because the clip that I showed you didn't go into the whole thing. You just saw the part where he goes in and says, I remember I met this dude, handsome, fresh, the whole thing. I was like, okay, this could work, blah, 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 blah. But all the other stuff that I read to you, he said that before we got to that clip. And so Yeah, he's like, it wasn't working out. The flaccid penis, like, I didn't get aroused, and who knows? Maybe it could have been. I mean, it could be a lot of things. It could have been nerves, that it was you were a little nervous, or whatever the case is. And sometimes when you hook it up with a guy and you're in certain situations, people get performance anxiety, whatever the case is. Or maybe it was just at that point you knew that it was just like, I'm not really. This is not my thing. I tried it once. It's not my thing, and that's fine. So they said he didn't specify when this encounter happened, though the social network star did make headlines when he shut down Louis Theroux about his cannibalism claims. So now, there was a whole thing about, you know, cannibalism. We don't need to get into that because that's always going to be the thing that's always, haunting him for the rest of his life. So his acting career is kind of on the fritz right now. I know he's supposed to be doing a movie with Uwe Boll, who's like one of the worst filmmakers. I don't know how they still give him money, but he's supposed to be doing a movie called The Dark Knight. I don't know if he filmed it already, whatever the case is. I heard Warner Brothers is pissed over the fact that they're using that title because you already know where The Dark Knight comes from. So they're a little pissed about that, and the movie is what it is. However, with the whole Armie Hammer situation, like I said, if you're a guy or a girl, look, we allow women to go and, oh yeah, that one time I was in college, I made out with a girl, and I let her eat my box a couple of times. Like I was out here deep diving in some clam when I was, in college, or whatever the case is, and then I let a girl do it to me, and I got out of my system. Now I'm married with children, and I've got, all that stuff. But the minute a man does it, he's gay, he's this, he's that. And we've seen many of shows that play into that. Oh, well, you hooked up with a man, I can't hook up with you. We've seen it happen on Insecure. We've seen it happen on Sex in the City with Carrie Bradshaw when she hooked up with that dude that was bisexual, and she was in that whole bi-phobic mess that was going on with that. But I understand that was like the 90s. It was a different time. However, then when you look at Insecure, who did the same storyline, it's like it still is an ongoing thing. So, like I said, there's always word that goes around that says, you know what, I think that everybody is bisexual to a degree. It's just all about whether or not you act on those impulses. And so just kiss a boy if you're a boy, and kiss a girl if you're a girl. And if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. Keep it moving. Let people know, as I say, live and let live, or let go and let God. I don't know why I said that, but whatever. So anyway, let's say what this is say. What do you guys think of this story in regards to Armie Hammer all of a sudden coming out and saying that he had a little tryst with the man and then realized it wasn't for him? He's like, okay. If this was a moment for you to get like to have your site go viral or your podcast, it worked because we're talking about it. But I've seen all the gay blogs were just eating this up. Maybe that's a poor choice of words, but they say eating this up, and then we got Army with the cannibalism. Whatever. It is what it is. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below.